Put your tops back on. Good evening, everyone. So Jill Biden has conceded that if she had to do it all over again, she would not have advised Joe to seek re-election. Hunter Biden conceded that if he had to do it all over again, he would have banged more whores. And Joe conceded that if he had to do it all over again, he said, do what all over again? Kamala Harris released her annual Pride Month message, and she plans on celebrating all month by not seeing straight. How's that any different? To celebrate Pride, the Empire State Building is illuminated in rainbow colors. Not to be outdone, the Statue of Liberty traded her robes for a nice flannel and switched out her torch with a bowling ball. In Maine, Democratic Governor Janet Mills reminded voters that she's still on the ballot in case they want to vote for someone else besides Graham Plattner. And in an effort to steal his support, she's offered to shave a landing strip in the shape of a Hitler mustache. It's quite a joke. After their quarterback introduced President Trump at a rally, Joy Reid said she's no longer a fan of the New York Giants, which confused fans who asked, why do you hate The View? Because they're the New York Giants. It's a cute joke. Scientists are working on 3 different vaccines for Ebola as the virus rages in Africa. These medicines are no different than the COVID vaccine, which stops the disease from spreading by killing you with a heart attack. I don't know if that's true. And finally, film director Adam Marcus called Val Kilmer the worst human being, even though Val is dead. Well, to find out what he really thinks of Joe Biden, I guess we'll have to wait a few more weeks. Why? All right. You remember economist and former New York Times columnist Paul Krugman? You know, the guy who's wrong more often than Trey Gowdy's barber. True, trusting Nostra dumbass is like getting your prostate checked in a windowless van. Anyway, I wonder if obviously he thinks we need to defang Trump as much as possible.
Obviously, we need to defang Trump as much as possible and make sure that neither he nor anybody who follows in his footsteps has power after the next 2 elections. But beyond that, we really need to do a thorough purging of the United States. We need a de-magafication, and that is, I'm not going over the top by using a word that's very similar to the denazification that we pursued successfully after World War II in Germany.
All right, well, come to my house tonight and try that, pal. But if the Dems want to cut down on the Nazi stuff, maybe they can start by, not nominating nut jobs with Nazi tattoos. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if Graham Plattner calls his wife's boobs Adolf and Titler. You applaud that. But it is a weird turn for Democrats after all the talk about dialing down the temperature. I'm starting to wonder if they understand how the knobs on a stove work. After President Trump was nearly killed, after Charlie Kirk was killed, and assorted other attempted attacks on conservatives occurred. Apparently that memo never reached Krugman. Perhaps he was too busy rewinding VHS tapes, the old fart. But sadly, the only Dem who lowered the temperature is Joe Biden, and that's because whenever it gets above 35 degrees, he starts to spoil. No, slow burn. But comparing MAGA to the people who started World War II is a bit much, coming from a guy who spent the last 30 years getting almost everything wrong. In 1998, Krugman said that by 2005, the internet would have no greater impact than the fax machine. I don't know about you, but I don't think a billion people across the globe are watching Nasty Stepmoms 3 on a fax machine. I've tried. He was so bad at seeing the future, he probably still hoards those free AOL CDs. In 2016, he said Trump's election would trigger a global recession. I'm sorry, can you speak up? I can't hear you over the sound of the exploding stock market, you jackass. Post-COVID stimulus, he dismissed inflation fears before the big spending wave, obviously to green flag more spending, which lefties like him love. Of course, every single economist knows that printing money makes it cheaper, which is the textbook definition of inflation. But he didn't care, which is why he admitted he was wrong about it when it no longer mattered, which is like closing the barn door after the horse already escaped and starred in Sex and the City. But the point is, this is a guy who says if it's going to rain, you pack sunscreen. And because like all know-nothings who act like know-it-alls, every road leads to Nazis. Disagree about immigration? Nazi. Criticize DEI? Nazi. Come out against men and women's sports? Nazi. Disagree about Hitler's methods? Nazi. It's crazy, but it's true. Today, if you complain about anti-Semites and men with Nazi tattoos, somehow that makes you a Nazi too. I don't get it. It's funny how the people throwing the word Nazi around don't mind their Nazi practices. After all, what is de-magafication? Right. Saying people you disagree with, people who haven't committed a crime, should be purged from public life? And if someone gets shot, well, how unfortunate. I had nothing to do with it. I just called them Nazis. But they can't escape this hell that they've made. When every election is the end of democracy and those other people you hate so much are an existential threat. And yet the biggest scandal of all turned out to be their own party hiding the decline of a sitting president. That guy faced an existential threat every time he took on a staircase. So, I'll take it. Why not? It's free. So maybe, just maybe, before Krugman starts talking about purging half the country, he should explain why he shouldn't go first. When the only thing you have left is calling people Nazis, that's not a showcase for great ideas. It's an admission that you've never, ever had any. Let's welcome tonight's guest. If you want to hear a pin drop, wait till he finishes a punchline. Actor, writer, comedian Jamie Lissow. He does the work of 100 journalists and still can't grow a mustache. Independent journalist She's a black belt and a pilot, so you better sit in your assigned seat. Financial analyst Heather Zabataga! And she can live for a year on one Jolly Rancher. New York Times bestselling author and Fox News contributor Cat. Jamie, this guy, Paul Krugman, is such a terrible prognosticator. You remember when he predicted that your first marriage would be a success? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just 2 days ago, he predicted that sweatshirt would look good in that video. The Nazi thing is crazy. If you think about it, if you were to take like all the things that Republicans do that they deem as like Nazi-ish, if they were working under Hitler, I feel like he'd be so disappointed.
Yeah.
Just unimpressed. Hitler would be like, hey, what'd you do for the regime today? Be like, oh, I checked IDs so people could vote. And he's like, just a particular, sect of people? No, I checked everybody. He's just like, you got to Nazi it up a little bit.
Yes.
He's like, but wait, I've been getting rid of illegal immigrants. Well, that's pretty good. That sounds pretty good. Yeah, but we give them like 2, years ahead of time, give them a little warning, and we also let them stay if they're legal. And Hitler's like, did you do any research about our organization before joining? I'm not sure you're good at this.
Yeah. Well, that was good.
Yeah. We're We're gonna fire you. Maybe if you have like a fourth Reich, we'll let you back in.
So, Nick, welcome back to the show. What do you...
You better be careful. He's going to get jealous.
No, I always welcome newcomers, young flesh into the fold, so to speak. But you better watch yourself. I'll chew you up and I'll spit you out.
Oh, God.
I mean that with love. So, do you think that people, in a way, Paul Krugman, I don't even know if you know who he is.
I had to do a lot of research before I came here.
But the point, in the weird way, is I don't think you would be here if it wasn't for people like Paul Krugman, because it was terrible reporting and biased reporting that paved the way for independent journalists like you.
Yeah, these are the same people who walk by a Leering Center and say, hey, there's probably some kids in there.
Yeah. I love how you're still selling this shirt. Is this what the whole thing is about?
People love the shirt. I brought you one as well, actually.
Oh, finally. Nice.
I'll give it to you after the show.
Oh, well, thank you. Same place? The club?
Place. Yep, got you right after that.
Yeah, all right.
But this Krugman guy, I mean, I did a lot of research on him because I had no idea who he was.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust this guy with $10, like based off what he was saying, especially with like the internet.
Yeah.
Like, he's still stuck back there. If you didn't see that Zoom call, the phone was like from 2005.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. He has been wrong on so many things that he has to stay in one place. Like, they couldn't let him go because he has nowhere else to go. And this leads me, what, Kat?
Hey, doesn't the name fit, though? Yeah. Doesn't he look like a Krugman?
Yeah. Do I look like a Gutfeld?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you look like a Timpf?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
I'll tell you what, she looks like a Zermaraga, that's for sure. You know what, though? But to his point, it's kind of like when we used to talk about established journalism and mainstream media, we would accuse them of being biased, and they would say, no, we're impartial. Then the moment that they leave mainstream media, whether it's Katie Couric or Jim Acosta, John Harwood, Dan Rather, Don Lemon, Paul Krugman, they come out, and you realize you guys were right all the time. These guys are chuckle buckets, left-wing chuckle buckets. That's the scientific term.
I feel like that's too kind a word.
Yeah.
A chuckle bucket sounds like a good time.
Yeah. It's a bucket for my chuckles.
Like, oh, he's a chuckle bucket. I'm like, I'll have a beer with him.
Yeah.
People tell me I look like a chuckle bucket.
As you pointed out, Greg, what is de-magafication?
Yeah.
Right? He says he wants to prevent people who supported Trump from gaining power. The only way we can do that in this country would be if people don't vote for them, because we have elections in this country. And if that's what he wants, ironically, I don't know how he doesn't realize it, but apparently he still doesn't realize it. I guess maybe it's not shocking for him, given, as many people have pointed out, all the stuff he's been wrong about. The way that Trump and Trump-backed candidates have won so many elections is specifically this stuff. This is the kind of stuff that motivates people. By saying that people who voted for him are Nazis, people say, well, I'm not a Nazi, and that drives them to further support this point of view.
Right.
So not only is it, I mean, I would say the kindest way to say it is it's ridiculous, but also what is he suggesting? You could say he's implying some things that are a little worse than ridiculous.
Yeah.
But again, he is just getting in his own way. All language like this does is make Trump supporters support Trump more than they did before they heard him say that.
Yes, exactly. You know,
See? There you go.
Heather, you are an expert in economics. Diagnose Krugman for us. You must have been reading him for years.
Without a PhD, I don't have one. I believe I understand economics a little more than Krugman. And if I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. But I got to tell you, in 2016, he was saying, oh, the stock market is going to go to you-know-what in a handbasket. I won't use that language
good for you.
on the show. But in 2018, 2019, NASDAQ hit all-time highs before COVID. And then, recently hitting all-time highs across the board again. Then he blamed Trump's tariffs in 2016 and again in the second term, saying that the economy is going to collapse. It hasn't collapsed. The internet is still around. I don't understand how he can still be employed. Like, if I'm wrong, eventually, I'm gonna be fired. If you're wrong that many times, it tells me that the New York Times, oh my God, you're dying.
I just drank
okay?
some water and I went down the road.
It must be Paul Krugman, like he put something in your cup, maybe, because they don't just hate Trump. He hates everyone. They hate everyone who voted for Trump.
Yes.
And
I missed everything she said. But I guess my point being is that you can be wrong as long as you're there, because it's like media welfare. They just keep you on, and then when they kick you out, you're no longer protected.
Well, someone is believing it.
Yeah.
Someone's believing this.
Well, not us, that's for sure. All right. You know when the little water goes down the wrong part of the throat? That's what just happened. Shouldn't drink water while Heather's talking. Learned a lesson. All right, up next.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.